Shout out to our sponsor, Loot Anime.
Loot Anime is a cool subscription crate that sends you anime and manga goodies just for $24.95 each month.
You can also get $3 off a new subscription if you use offer code THEKNOW. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Turney.
New Xboxes, PS4 Neo, the NX. Suddenly everybody's got that new console fever already.
Yeah, hey, we heard you like new console generations in your console generation, so we put one console generation inside your console generation.
Oh, while Sony is making a play to refresh its hardware this year with the PS4 Neo, one industry veteran is saying they may or may not be thinking past the Neo at all.
And judging from the moves everyone else is making, Sony might not be the only one saying goodbye to the next generation model.
This development comes from a recent Game Informer chat with Lauren Lanning about his DICE interview with PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida in 2015.
If you're wondering who the heck Lauren Lanning is, he's a game creator best known for the Oddworld series.
The best series. And if you're wondering what the heck Oddworld is, just do yourself a favor, go play New and Tasty on Steam. We'll weigh it right here,
yeah,
because it's an experience you need to have.
Absolutely. So in this Game Informer chat, Lanning talks about a pre-interview conversation he had with Yoshida about the PlayStation 5. Now, according to Lanning, I said, "What does the PlayStation 5 look like?" And he said, "You mean if." And I was like, whoa, are you willing to say that on stage? And he said, yeah, it's an if.
Lanning went on to say, it was a really interesting thing. He didn't give me a clear answer, but he's hinting at, we need to be more agile. None of us know what the future really looks like, so how do we adapt to it faster?
They, of course, didn't end up having that exchange on stage, where we would have talked about it then. Of course, that was fine.
Yeah, but Lanning did go on to talk about the generational model being much less viable than it used to be given the current pace of technology. Plain and simple, new tech is outclassed faster than ever, which means the console model as we know it, keywords there, could be going the way of the Buffalo, the Dodo Bird, the Dreamcast, you name it.
Too soon. Yeah, we get it. I mean, every few months someone loves to come along and just predict the death of consoles, and every few months Sony laughs at those people while playing Bloodborne in their diamond-plated tidy-whities.
Given the success of the current generation, the idea that Sony would never make a PlayStation 5 kind of seems ridiculous on its surface. They've sold, what, 40 million of the PlayStation 4s so far?
So far, and going. Plus, we seem to be swimming in rumors at this point that new consoles could be coming out this year.
However, a deeper look at these trends might be signs that we could be in the middle of a shift at how the industry views and releases consoles.
In some ways, an Xbox 1.5 or a PS4 Neo indicate that both Sony and Microsoft are making their first attempt to stop the idea of hardware generations. Instead, keep gamers attached to their respective platforms.
Right. In the past, console makers would start over from zero for each new generation. New ecosystem, new hardware, a huge jump in visual fidelity, etc. This led to huge shifts in the industry, with the Iron Video Game Throne changing hands or asses several times and cutting anyone who sits upon it.
That's right. But an iterative console update goes against the idea of generations completely.
As a console manufacturer, incrementally improving your hardware means you're no longer giving people the option to leave your ecosystem, but instead giving them more ways to invest, so it's harder to walk away later.
Plus, it's getting harder to sell customers on the idea of huge leaps in visual fidelity. Rather, people are sold by what games there are to play on each system.
Right, this makes a ton of sense. For Sony especially, with such a huge lead and millions more PS4s sold, why give gamers the option to bounce out when you can get them reinvested every few years?
Yeah, the Neo and PSVR might just be Sony's attempt to hold on to those close to 40 million or so console owners for good. A grand experiment in the killing of the generational model.
This would essentially turn consoles into a product like Apple mobile devices, which get small upgrades every few years. The key difference for console makers is the lack of a platform like iOS to build from.
Now, while we don't know for sure if Microsoft is coming out with an iterative version of their console this year,
well, we don't know that for sure, but
right.
Signs are definitely in that direction.
Absolutely. They are working on a framework to make a move like this that we're talking about possible.
Yeah, we've all heard about Microsoft's glorious vision of UWP, the Universal Windows Platform, which would unify all their devices into one huge ecosystem. It's been the focus of everything they're doing lately and lays a lot of the foundation for switching to an Apple-style model.
There were also much covered comments by Phil Spencer back in March, which we talked about here, who all but confirmed that Microsoft plans on releasing new hardware within a generation.
And this would also make console gaming more like PC gaming. Game development would simply scale for hardware running on the same operating system or framework no matter which version of an Xbox someone might be playing on.
This is one area where Sony might kind of already be behind the 8-ball. Based on the reports about Neo yesterday, they're having to go a long way to distinguish that there should be a base mode and a Neo mode for game developers, which really isn't the same way that game developers scale for PC development.
Yeah, yesterday, kind of funny's own Colin Moriarty said that many developers aren't keen on the PS 4.5 and having to work around two versions of the hardware. Oh guys, You're gonna have to get used to that one, maybe.
Yeah, and last week, BioWare co-founder Grant Zecek called a mid-cycle upgrade a giant pain in the ass.
As for Nintendo, all signs are pointing to a change in attitude towards their console model as well. In February, we reported on huge internal changes happening within Nintendo, focusing not only on development, but the entire company's structure towards the NX as a platform rather than as hardware.
Yeah, they've long envied Apple's business model and have
Sounds like everyone has. The entire game industry just wants a turtleneck.
Companies have envied Apple's business model for a long time, and they've even delved into it themselves with versions of the DS. In that regard, it is working out pretty well for them. So.
All this talk of putting a stop to the next generation does kind of contradict some of what these guys have said in the past, however, sort of.
Yeah, in December, Phil Spencer said in an interview that he fully expects another Xbox from the company, but again, an Xbox 1.5 would still technically fit there.
And back in 2014, Yoshida said that a PlayStation 5 would happen, but only if developers really wanted it.
You guys gotta beg for it.
No, we don't want to make cool games on the newest hardware. Why would we want that?
Nobody would want that. Plus, there's the whole console generation is doing better than ever thing, but what actually might be an argument for switching out of it, why risk jumping to a new platform for people to jump into when you can increase their investment in your current platform?
And hey, if you can sell a new marginally improved box every few years, in addition to that, even better.
Although, where's the hype? The big question, of course, is whether or not gamers will play nice with the new model. Many point at PC gaming as a reason why console gamers wouldn't want to invest in new hardware every few years.
Because it's expensive?
It is. But PC gaming is doing better than ever and is going to outpace consoles in the next year in terms of revenue.
All about the microtransactions.
That's
It's the hats.
right.
Who doesn't want to buy hats? A stronger argument against iterative hardware would probably be something like the Wii U. That console was basically an attempt at an iterative update to the Wii, and oh boy, that's failed miserably from a commercial standpoint. Has some cool games, nobody knows because no one owns one.
Because is it part of the Wii? Because your name makes it sound like it's part of an existing Wii.
I can see why people were confused about it. I
Very
really
confusing.
can.
However, the games weren't part of the same platform, and Nintendo was so careful not to lose their current customers that they didn't really create a need for the Wii U at all.
But again, Apple's already shown that this model can work even when it's more expensive. People regularly pay more money, sometimes twice as much, than they do for consoles every 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years, that's adorable.
Hey, I wait like 2 years. Come on.
I wish I waited.
Wait,
Actually, you know what? I have waited. I'm doing pretty good this time. Anyway, nobody cares. One way or another, the success of new platforms potentially releasing this year may determine whether or not consoles exist in the format they have for the last couple of decades. So no pressure.
If PS4 Neo, Xbox 1.5, and NX, again, if those come out this year, all move crazy numbers, we might just be in for a big change.
Yeah, so what do you guys think of Yoshida's comments and the other signs that we might be done with generational hardware? Let us know in the comments.
And for more updates on future consoles or potentially the lack thereof, like this video and subscribe to The Know. Thanks to Loot Anime for sponsoring this update.
Loot Anime sends you over $60 worth of cool stuff starting at just $24.95 each month.
Every crate has a theme, and this month's theme is music to celebrate Hatsune Miku's US tour.
You'll also get stuff from Show by Rock, Your Lie in April, Hypersonic Music Club, and more.
And the crates keep selling out. So if you're thinking about grabbing one, maybe don't wait.